Understand someone is to gain another perspective. It doesn't mean you have to lose your perspective. It just means you're gaining another one. So to see something from multiple angles is only an advantage. To become offended and lose out on a perspective or another angle of understanding, you are cheating yourself out of just knowledge, just more general knowledge. Please don't cheat yourself. Today, we want to talk to you guys about being offended.
Yes.
Let me tell you, the point after offense is understanding. A lot of times, a lot of people never get to the point of understanding because they stop at just being offended. Once you're offended, a lot of times you're not going to gain understanding. There were several times in my life where I was offended for absolutely no reason. Like somebody was telling me something, they didn't mean to be offended, but since I didn't understand what they were saying, I just got offended. Actually, it's just like that scene in the 40-Year-Old Virgin when Kevin Hart is in like the Circuit City or whatever store they're in, and he's looking for help, and the guy says, "Look, I just need to do something so we can move forward amicably." And Kevin Hart said, "What? Look, I don't know what you're saying. You're using all these big words. I'm gonna take it as offense. Watch your mouth and help me with the sale. I don't need you to be a nigga. I need you to be my nigga." You know what I'm saying? That part A was hilarious, but it really illustrates a lot of how passionate and sensitive we can be as Black people, or shoot, as people in general. You know what I'm saying? Like, to take color out of it. I know plenty of white people that get offended, or any other color people. So, I mean, any other people. So, honestly, like, as a matter of fact, one time I was playing softball, like for my work softball league. Yeah. And I don't know, I was about to hit, and somebody said, "Oh, he looked like Yasiel Puig." At the time, I had no idea who Yasiel Puig was. I'm like, now I know, of course, today you got to be an idiot not to know who he is. But at the time, like, the dude had been out for like 4 months. I hadn't been watching SportsCenter that regularly. So somebody says, "Oh, he looked like Yasiel Puig." And like, I just immediately think that this person is trying to offend me. So I go off. I was like, "Nah, you know what you look like?" Boop, 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 boop. And like, at the end of the day, I went home. I look up, I mean, I see this dude on SportsCenter like 2-3 days later. I see his stats. I'm like, yo, that actually wasn't a bad thing. You know, like, I then wanted to write it on my shirt, but I was like, yeah, that moment's over now.
It reminds me of a time where, you know, when I used to live in DC, there was a store I used to go to get herbs, and I plan on actually having a video about it later. You know, we'll highlight it. But either way, when I used to go to the store as an owner there, and he used to know how to just say things that could come off offensive. And he will always say something every time. Like, we'll have a good conversation, and I knew where I was, where like on some days he would say something and I would be upset, and then I can feel my heart beating, and I'm ready to beat up this old man for no reason. And he's a real good guy, But what I end up learning is, once I learned, see, we're gonna get to. We get. I'm about to give you the sauce.
Look, so either way, we're not gonna give you too much sauce. Stay to the end. We're going to tell you. We're gonna give you the secret sauce on how to not get offended. You can never get offended again. We're gonna tell you a secret. Stay to the end. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. All right, so before we give you the secret sauce as far as to tell you how not to get offended ever, or at least to people around you, one of the biggest, let's talk about another misconception or misunderstanding when it comes to being offended. A lot of times someone can get offended, and there are two ways they can take it. They can take it the way you're trying to explain it, or they can take it the way that they want to, and the way that promotes them or supports them getting offended. You can do that, people. You always have two choices. You can take the right road or the left road. You can take the person for their words and try to understand what they're saying, or you can choose to get offended. Being offended is a choice. Understand that, people. Yeah. So when you take the choice to become to become offended, you're probably not going to understand the other person. But as a matter of fact, it's going to justify your reason for not understanding the other person. That's cool, but that only stunts your own growth. To understand someone is to gain another perspective. It doesn't mean you have to lose your perspective. It just means you're gaining another one. So to see something from multiple angles is only an advantage. To become offended and lose out on a perspective or another angle of understanding, you are cheating yourself out of just knowledge, just more general knowledge. Please don't cheat yourself.
This is what I'll say, people, is when you spend so much time getting offended, you miss so many gems, because a lot of people don't even realize them giving you knowledge or wisdom. They could be giving you something that you were trying to get answers to, and you'll never get that if you're already getting offended by something that somebody said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, first of all, if somebody doesn't have a history of offending you, try not to first jump to the conclusion that, hey, what they're trying to do is offend me if they don't even have a history.
People, it ain't always good to assume, man. Just if something is said to you and it doesn't feel well, why don't you ask before you have the right to be mad? Because sometimes you might be right on what you think is being stated, but why don't you just ask first? Because you don't want to give somebody a butt kicking if they ain't deserve it, right?
Well, I see Thomas could not contain himself and he wanted to give y'all the secret sauce. So at the end of the day, that is the answer. The answer to never becoming offended is simply to ask questions. If I'm misunderstanding someone's message, if I make a statement, the statement would be based on my level of understanding. To gain more understanding, you could simply ask for more clarity. If all you're doing is asking for more clarity before you respond, the last thing you can do is give a response that was, let's say, ignorant because you didn't have enough facts. I'm dead serious.
It just sounded funny.
Like as far as getting clarity, just asking questions, and a lot of times asking for clarity. A lot of times we speak to respond. We don't speak to clarify. We don't speak to gain clarity from the other person. A lot of times we're just speaking to respond or to have a response. That's why a lot of times when people are talking, a lot of times people, can I talk? Let me interject. Like, why would I let you talk if I'm talking? Like, the point of me talking is for you to hear me, not for you to talk right now. So at the end of the day, really get into the habit of listening to someone else or writing your points down, writing your point of interjection down. A lot of times when we think of a point of interjection, like, oh, I know what I want to say to that person, we will then turn our ears off to whatever else this person is saying, so we don't lose what we want to say, what we then want to say. So let's say if a person says 4 things, one of them, the first thing he said was wrong. The next 3 things he said was right. However, you probably won't hear the next 3 things because you want to attack the first thing that he said. And you could be right. You could be absolutely right on this first point being wrong. However, you were so busy trying to bite this dude's head off for the first point being wrong, you missed 3 other gems. 3 other gems. So, a lot of times just be patient with people. And understand people have no choice but to treat you like they treat themselves. Now, this will be a whole nother episode. But when it comes to offense and understanding and things of that nature, if someone becomes, let's say, offended. If somebody's easily offended, then of course they're going to be offended when you speak, and you probably shouldn't take offense to that. I got offended recently because somebody was trying to take offense from what I was saying. I really don't have a problem with that if I'm a stranger to you and you don't know me, then you think I might mean you harm. Or a pattern of behavior. If in the past if I have a habit in offending you or insulting you, then yes, I would expect you to take what I'm saying as offense and things of that nature. But if I don't have a pattern in this, then why would what I'm saying right now, why would I mean this maliciously? So people understand patterns. You know, if somebody usually doesn't say something malicious, they might not be saying anything malicious right now. Or maybe you should find that, help them use better words to get across what they're saying, so you can gain more understanding. But at the end of the day, we get offended a lot just because I guess it's cool. It's a cool thing to do. Yeah, I got mad, blah, 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 blah. Like a lot of people will address their anger as if it's a badge of honor or a superpower. Yeah, I get mad fast. I go 0 to 100 real quick. Like, as if that's cool. Like, why is that something to brag about? I don't understand.
It's about emotional intelligence, people. And just because someone's saying something to you, just like when you was a kid, what is it? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words are not powerful, right? That's what they say.
I don't know. I mean, I ain't gonna take too many words from too many people. You know what I'm saying?
I'll just making a pun, but either way, you just have to make the right choice.
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, if you don't want to get offended, just get some questions to ask. At the end of the day, you'll get clarity and you'll probably get some understanding. You'll get more knowledge. You'll get more common sense. You'll get smarter as a person. You'll probably get some self-improvement. But until then, keep getting this greater information for free. I'm Marcus. We out.